change leads in a way that's more effective and easier for you. So it's almost like you're letting him change leads to what's easier. So it makes sense to him. He goes, this is hard. This counter canter thing is difficult. It would feel a lot easier to me if I could just canter on the correct lead. And so once I'm feeling relaxed, perfect. So when he misses it like that, that means I didn't have enough hip. So I'll move that hip over, accentuate it, sloping off on that lead. Make sure I got that hip picked up. Then stop, and then I'll downward transition. You'll notice when I downward transition, I'm not stopping my horse. So I don't want to stop him every single time he does good. I just let him slow down, and I keep him soft in the face. So I'll go one more. Here. And he's worse to the right, so I know that this is his harder lead change. But I soften him, soften him, soften him. And you'll notice I always have one leg on my horse. And what that is that guide leg. That offers support, that helps him understand what he's supposed to do. As soon as that leg comes off, he's supposed to stop. So it doesn't take much to stop my horses. So all I have to do is take that guide leg off and they know that they're supposed to stop in the line. That also helps you when we go to change leads. All I have to do is take that leg away, and because he's gotten used to it, he's gotten secure in feeling that leg and leaning on it, counting on it, it's always there. So when it leaves, he falls into that spot and changes that leg. And it should be same cadence, it shouldn't change rhythm, it should be nice and relaxed. And that way, I can work lead changes all day long, and my horse doesn't get stressed out. That's what makes straight line lead changes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. You know when we worked on this exercise last summer, we were working with a counter bend. Okay, so they were bent to the outside in the beginning stage. I noticed with this horse that you're not using as much counter bend. So is that the evolution to straightness? Like eventually they don't need the assistance of the counter bend anymore. They can travel straight and just rely on your inside leg.
And that's the thing. Like when I first start, I have to have a lot of counter bend. So like as we first start, they're going to want to fall out of that lead and fall back into one of those comfortable with. So we'll have to carry a lot of bend. But as he evolves, so when I first can, or if he's being really stiff in that shoulder, I'll make sure bend through it. But once they get advanced, then I can just let those reins feed out. And you'll notice now it's slight, but he maintains his own bend. So I don't have to do a whole lot. As long as he's maintaining a slight bend off of that leg, I don't worry about it. Then when I'm ready, I release the reins. Place that back there.
Okay, and his bend changes slightly on the inside. So my other question was, as a two-part question, do you assist the horse to make the lead change by slightly allowing that inside bend to come around as the leg comes off?
Yes.
Okay.
So we change bends. That is what you're doing. Dressage horses change leads because they change bends. So everything that I do here is about softening my horse, just like this exercise, and changing bend. If I cannot walk a straight line, you see how my horse is bent to the right on a right circle, and changing to a left bend, it's going to be really hard to get anyone moving. So that's exactly right. It all plays back into itself. And I'll walk around bent a lot more than I would ask him to be in a canter. And then I'll change it. See, he got a little resistance there. So I would send him on, and I trot. I do it in a trot. And you'll notice that the shoulders I want to pick up, I always keep that hand higher. My hands will also always stay on opposite sides of the horse's neck. Unless I'm specifically working on a neck reining exercise, I'm going to help my horse stay correct by staying in frame. So we'll go into spins just a second here. And because all this bend is the same thing. Your horse is not soft. You're squeeze my leg. And then keep my hands still. Now he didn't have quite enough speed in that for me, so I'm speeding up with my legs a little bit. I'm going to sit into it again. So what I did there is I squeezed with both feet to lift his shoulders in that spin. So a lot of people think, well, what turns my horse with my hands? If you pull too far, all you'll do is pull your horse out of that spin. Now he's a pretty good boy, so he follows my hands there. But most of the time, all you're going to do is pull him up out of that spin and move that hip around. So you just set the frame with your hand. And use your legs to spin it. So your hands just keep him walking forward, and they keep him slightly bent. It's your actual leg that asks you to turn. So do you guys have any question about those two exercises? Yes.
I'm sorry.
So I looked right at you. No, most people have questions. They just don't know what to ask and are afraid to ask.
Okay, so I noticed in that exercise you're keeping those hands pretty level, right? They're pretty level. And so when you say keeping your frame, it looks to me like you are just slightly checking the one rein and ever so slightly leading with the other.
That's correct. And you'll notice my hands never turn. Number one, absolutely, most important thing in training any horse in any discipline, Western English, do not turn your hands. You have this line that goes from your elbow to your thumb. And it should be nice and relaxed all the time. And I don't want to see you break that line. If you've rode pleasure horses, your hands will have a tendency, or a lot of different types of horses, to break in the wrist and move like this. You go to moving your hands like this, you get stiff to your horse and you change the feel. You'll notice that almost always, however I take a hold of my horse, there's almost a straight line from the corner of his bit to my elbow. That line is one of the most important things that you can maintain. If things are not going right, 90% of the time it's our hands. I can fix most of what's going wrong by changing my body and my hands. So when something's not going right out there, I want you guys to think about the position that you have. Because most of the time, that's what's causing whatever problems you're having. So if I take my hands here, or I take my hands here, it's going to bind my horse up, and it's going to make it really hard for him to operate. So I keep my hands nice and low, I keep that line correct, and if I have to, I'll check him ever so slightly. But you'll notice I never turn my hands over. I always keep those thumbs up and keep him turning. And he doesn't have to turn fast every time. If you don't have correct, you will not get fast. You have to have correct and then add speed. But everything that goes well for us comes back to having that horse soft. If your horse is not soft, if you cannot move his body parts individually, move his hip if you want to move his hip, move his shoulders if you want to move his shoulders, it's going to be really hard to get anything accomplished. So that's what that exercise is for right there, is moving different body parts for us. All right, any other questions? All right, so we're going to work on this some. So the first thing that I want you guys to do, and this will probably go very badly, but we're going to walk a circle and we're going to counter bend. And what that means is I want his hip, if we're going to go to the left, so we're going to go counterclockwise, want his hip to the right and his nose to the right, his shoulders to the left. Now, my left leg is going to stay on and push that hip over. If he gets bound up, my right leg is just going to bump, 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 and just keep that shoulder softened up. Anytime you use your hands and feet, you want to work in rhythm with your horse's stride. That's something that a lot of people don't think about necessarily, but is a huge part of it. So as I'm walking around, even if I'm bumping him, I'm going bump, bump, bump. I'm softening him up as I walk around. That will make a soft horse. Now, the reason we kick those shoulders up, so let's say I've counted a lot. I've got that shoulder really nicely picked up. Then I can canter around and pick it up even further. And get that really nice, relaxed little canter. waiting to stop, waiting to listen, because he's not leaning as we're cantering around. So a lot of what we do is about picking those shoulders up. So we just pick them up. Another thing, every time you guys stop, back your horses. I know we've all gone over that before, but what creates a horse that tries to stop, see, he's not really wanting back, is the backup. So he needs to push with that hind end. And you see how no matter how hard I pull, he does not toss his head or fight that bridle. He says yes. Even if he gapes his mouth to get away, he does not lift that head up and fight that bridle and say no. If I can't do that, when I take a hold of him out on course, that means I'm going to have a really hard time getting him focused before that obstacle. So a lot of times I'll look around and I'll practice, and he knows. You see how stoppy my horse is naturally? He's always wanting to slow down. That's because he knows I reward him going slow. But I'll just take a hold of him and make him get right back over those reins. I won't say whoa. I won't say stop. I won't even necessarily take my legs off of him. Poor guy, he's already gotten tired. I'll just lope him and pull him into the ground and set him back up. And I just keep my hands. Notice how my hands don't change position. I expect him to get off that bridle without me having to pull hard. That will help your stop tremendously. That means that you can lope up to that obstacle and your horse is soft and is looking and is prepared to do the obstacle. If you don't have him soft, you can't take a hold of him and him remain soft, well, what's going to happen at every single obstacle you go to? He's going to toss his head and he's going to fight you. So you want to make sure that you keep them soft as you're traveling around. We'll do, it all kind of plays into each other, so that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it a little bit. I'm going to do a free ride real quick. Before I do it, I want to talk about what makes good free rides. Part of it is position, but it's really important. People get intimidated by speed. The thing about a free ride is you want your horse to want to slow down. If you free ride at the end of a course, like a lot of us do, and then you stop your horse thinks, when I run off, I get to go stop. So what do they do that entire course? They try and run so that they get to a stop point. So the whole time they're like, well, can we run yet? Can we run yet? Can we run yet? Because they know when they run, that's when everything is. They stop and they go out the gate. You'll notice even when I go through my finish line, I never just stop my horse. And the reason is I always downward transitioning from a fast canter to a slow canter and then a stop. By doing that, I change what my horse is looking for. Instead of trying to run to get to stop, the whole time we're running, he's trying to slow down. Because he knows what gets him to stop, what makes it quit, is slowing down at the end of a run. So the whole time I'm running, he goes, can I slow down? Can I slow down? Can I slow down? That makes it 10 times easier to have a free ride. And that what gives you a horse at the end of the season. So you see those guys that can make 1 or 2 runs and then their horses blow apart? It's because they don't practice that. They don't practice going fast, even medium speed, with a downward transition at the end. There is never, ever a time where I go fast, except for if I'm practicing a running stop, specifically down the arena. There's never a time where I go fast without a downward transition on the other side. That downward transition means every time my horse goes fast, he's looking for the opportunity to go slow. That's what makes those horses spectacular. So, and you notice how my horse is always backing up? That's a good thing. That means that he is actually thinking backwards. That helps me when I go to stop. That helps me when I go to side pass. A horse, we all know a horse is thinking forward all the time. Is acting charging. It's super hard to ride. So by a horse that you have that's always thinking backwards is 10 times easier to ride than one that's always thinking forward. Part of that comes with how I set my horse off. See how quiet he is? He's only 3. And I didn't ride him the last 2 days. But I just came right out here and I got on him and he's been super quiet from the beginning. Because I work on my horses being quiet that way. We create that in our horses. We do that by being slow and quiet ourselves. If I want my horse to be slow and quiet, I he knows because you use different sounds. So I can stop him. Or we can straight into it. So I can kick him. My hands and legs didn't change, but it wasn't confusing him at all. That's one of those little things that makes a difference, whether you're riding working cow horses, or you're riding cutters, or you're riding reiners, or you're riding obstacle horses. It's all the same thing. It all makes it easier for your horse to understand. That's what this is all about. So I'm getting ready to do my free ride. You'll notice I have to use my legs on my horse. I like that. When I quit using my legs, he should quit going. That makes my life a lot easier. If I'm always sitting my horse and using my legs, that creates this connection. So that as soon as I quit using my legs, he goes to looking for what I want. He goes, well, do you want to stop? Do you want to turn? So it makes it easy for me to set rhythm and cadence because I'm always using my legs to set that rhythm. So I'll look off. Downward transition, nice slow low. And so he's always waiting for that downward transition. And then I always go walk or stop at the end of that downward transition, rewarding. I'll ask him for it again. Listen to him. See how he's almost waiting to die out on me? So that means that my 3-year-old can handle going as fast as I want to go, and I'm not going to blow his mind. Because for him, it's all about the slow down. Most of the time when people run their horses, what happens? It's all about going fast. This creates a type of horse, and I do this in the reining too. That's where this came from, and it's taught to me by reiners. One guy in particular, that this is what you need to do. You need to create a situation where your horse is looking to slow down all the time. Because what differentiates free rides a lot of times is being able to carry speed and not blow your horn, especially from high level. So I'll go one more time. I like how nice and relaxed he is. And he's just waiting on me. Says, what would you like to do next? And I don't have to take the slack out of my reins much. So he's a little out of position. Not a big deal. I'm working on one thing right now, and that's downward transition. I can easily take a hold of him, soften him back up, and slow it down. So everything that I just did with this horse, it was a lot of really challenging stuff. We worked lead changes, we worked some spins. First of all, you see how tired he is? So I worked him mentally and I worked him physically. He had a good understanding of what I was looking for. And so he never once got worked up, scared, or worried because he understood what I was asking of him all the time. Now sometimes they're just going to be butt heads and you're going to have a hard day. But that being said, your horse should stay quiet. If your horse is not staying quiet, you're probably asking them too much in a way that they don't understand. So you just have to settle down, think about how you're asking, how you can ask differently so that they can understand a little bit better, and then you can go back to being quiet. If your horse is weak, they should never be panicked. If your horse is panicking, it's because you're asking too much. He's not very fast today. I think he's tired. And then I can ask him to speed his feet up. So he's being a little lazy, but considering not letting him till I tried at the very end when he's tired, I'll leave him alone. But you'll see he comes right back. He's quiet and he's relaxed.